Hello, and welcome to episode 17 of the Sarah Seams podcast. My name's Sarah, and I'm coming to you from Columbus, Ohio, where I live with my partner Troy and our cats Alex and Moo. Today is Sunday. I always forget the date. Today is Sunday, July 23rd. It's a really nice summer day here in Columbus. We've just been out running some errands this morning, and now I'm ready to talk to you about all things knitty and a little bit of sewing. If you see me looking over, I have my notes here. And yeah, this is just my little corner of the internet where I share all about my crafty projects, mostly knitting, but some sewing and quilting and whatever else strikes my fancy as well. Today I have 4 finished objects to share with you. 4 whips, yeah, works in progress. And a couple of little acquisitions at the end, as well as a little bit of chat at the end. So I'm gonna jump right in with what I'm wearing because this is also my first finished object. So you might recognize the design. This is the Alpine Bloom Tee by Caitlin Hunter. I will stand up so you can see it. I absolutely love how this turned out. So I bought yarns at my local yarn store, 614 Knit Studio. The base color I'm using is Driftwood Heather by Kelborn Woolens. It's their camper base. The contrast color is Primrose Yarn Co. Homestead Sport Base in the color Spacesuit. So you can see it has these really pretty like purples and oranges, and then it kind of fades into green. There's quite a bit of blue in the skeins as well, but I really managed the color so that I wouldn't have any blue. I really just wanted these 4 colors. Yeah, I'm obsessed with this. I think considering that this is a colorwork yoke fingering weight garment, I think I had knitted this in like 3 weeks, which is really fast for me, but it was like the only thing that I worked on. And I cast it on like as soon as the pattern came out. So let me walk you through it a little bit. So you start with this really pretty lace detail on the neckline. By the way, these are my Barbie nails. I guess I could talk about that too at the end. I saw Barbie and Oppenheimer yesterday. So yeah, you start with this pretty lace neckline and this little row of eyelets. Then you go right into the color work and increases for the yoke. You knit the body in plain stockinette, and I did knit, mine's pretty cropped. My natural waist is about right here. I have a very short torso. So you can see it kind of just comes to the top of my pants, which is perfect. And the hem, I will say this was my first time knitting a round yoke garment, and it does cause the hem to dip and be quite rounded, and I'm not sure if I love that. When I first finished it, it was very dramatic, but with blocking I was able to kind of pull the sides down and straighten it out quite a bit. But yeah, you can see I just knitted the body, and then the sleeves, you just knit a little bit of stockinette, and then there's another big lace panel on the sleeves, which this lace is actually knitted separately, and then you graft it on to the sleeve. So you can kind of see where I did my Kitchener stitch. It's a little bit sloppy, but I feel like that eyelet row really helps to kind of camouflage that. And if you don't want to graft the sleeves on, you can just do ribbing instead. So I knit it exactly to pattern. The only change I made was before I started my ribbing on the hem, I added a row of eyelets to kind of mimic the eyelets here and on the neckband. And I think that's really cute. Just like a nice little detail, a nice little way to like make that ribbing a little bit fancy as well. And this pattern is available up to a 68-inch bust. I made size 4, which was a 48-inch bust, which gave me about 4 inches of positive ease, and I love the way that it fits me. It does have short rows to raise the neck up in the back. I feel like it's still sitting a little bit higher on my neck than I would normally be comfortable with, but I think that's just the nature of this like lace design, and it's so pretty that I'm willing to it doesn't bother me enough that I won't wear it. And honestly, I've had it on for like a couple of hours and I feel like I've already gotten used to it. This is definitely, these are both woolly wools. The camper, the Kelborn Woolens camper is non-superwash. The color changing yarn from Primrose Yarn Co. is superwash, but definitely in the yoke, it's fairly thick. So I don't see this being like a true summer garment for me. I see this being more of a like transitional garment or even a winter garment for me, depending on where I am and what I'm doing. But I mean, I've been wearing it today and I've just been inside in the AC and I've been fine. So I think the original sample that Caitlin, I should say, this is, if I didn't already, this is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter, Boylan Knitworks. And I think she made her sample with like a wool linen blend, like wool silk linen or something. So definitely kind of want to make another version that's like a warm weather version. I'd love to try knitting for Olive's Pure Silk. I think that would be really, really pretty in this, and it's a yarn that I haven't tried yet. And I love how this one is kind of mid-tone, so it's, the contrast is there, like you can definitely see the color work, but it's not like a super harsh contrast. Like the color work colors and the background color are similar in value. And you know, the color work sticks out because it's color versus neutral versus like dark versus light. So I'd love to have maybe do another version eventually that is like a navy ground with like a white flower and not color changing, just something that like really sticks out. But yeah, I love how this turned out. I definitely think I will knit another one and I highly recommend it. So if you have any questions about it, please let me know. I'm happy to answer anything I can. I have to say I was so proud of it. Like after I blocked it and tried it on, it was one of those like happy dance moments. Like I just kind of had that moment where I was like, wow, I made that with my hands. Like it was, I think this is the thing I've made that I'm most proud of so far. And I was looking back, I think in this coming October, I will have been knitting like seriously for 2 years, and almost the first entire year of that was like just socks and accessories. So I've really only been knitting garments for about a year, and to knit something like this in 3 weeks, you know, that felt like really momentous for me, and it's really got me bit with the color work bug. I did also just want to point out that the color work evened out really nicely after blocking. I feel like with the lighting in here right now, it looks a little bit wavy still, but that's really the first time I've been noticing that. It really smoothed out nicely. And yeah, I've really got like color work in my brain. I want to cast on like a Fair Isle project or something, and I really want to try steeking. I've never done that before, so just things that are bouncing around in my head. But yeah, that's my Alpine Bloom tee. I love it. I hope you all will consider making one, or if you already have, let me know. I'd love to see. But yeah, I'm very proud of this one. My next FO is a sewing one, which I'm gonna do. Normally I do like all of knitting together and then all of sewing together, but I made this skirt to wear with this top, so I wanted to show you them together. Excuse me. So I made the Donovan skirt by Helen's Closet in this really amazing pink and orange gingham linen from Blackbird Fabrics. So I'm gonna put a little video of that in here, and you can see me wearing it with my Alpine Bloom tee. So the skirt is available up to a 62-inch hip. I made the size 20, and the only alteration I made was that the skirt has slits on the side. And for this version, because I want to be able to wear it in the summer and the fall, I did sew the slits a little bit more closed than the pattern recommends, just because in my other versions, sometimes I do notice like if I'm at work or like if I'm sitting down, like the slits are a little bit higher than would probably be like appropriate for work. And I wanted to be able to wear this one all year, so I did shorten the slits a little bit, but I think it's still very cute, and it still gives you plenty of like freedom of motion. And you can see there my Alpine Bloom tee is long enough. I can just like tuck it in to the top of my skirt and do like a little French tuck, and it looks really cute. So yeah, those two were made in heaven. That pink and orange that's in here is like so cute with that skirt. It just really picks it up. And I feel like this is gonna be an outfit that I'm wearing a lot in the like transition into fall. And I'm very excited about it. So yeah, I love Helen's Closet's patterns. They're very beginner friendly, but they're also great, just like basics. And this is one I've made a couple of times. All right, so next two FOs are both knitting as well. And the first one is a hat. So this is the Robin Beanie by Sari Nordland. It's a 2x2 ribbed hat, and it's knit top down. So you start with the increases and then work your way down. And it's actually meant to have a double folded brim that's like really wide. It's like almost 4 inches wide. So I think you're meant to knit this hat to like 17 or 18 inches long or something crazy. I kind of get tired of that around like 11 or 12 inches. So I just knit mine to 11 inches and then cast off. So it still has like a 2.5 to 3 inch brim. It's just not double folded. And I also did that with this because this is really thick already. And I thought a double folded brim would just be like almost comical looking. So this is going to be for one of my coworkers for Christmas, trying to get ahead of the Christmas gifts this year. The yarns are, do I have the ball bands? I do not. Okay, so the cream yarn that I used as the base is a farm yarn. It's actually meant to be a sock yarn, but I found it to be much too stiff and rustic for socks. I like couldn't even knit with it for socks, but it was perfect for this hat because I held it with mohair. So yeah, that's a farm yarn that I got from Nez and Scott Farm in Maine. And then the mohair that I'm holding it with, I got secondhand from For the Birds, which is a secondhand yarn store online, and it is Woodbury Fiber Co. Is that? It's not Woodbury Fiber Co. Yes, it's a skein of their hand-dyed mohair. And I'm sorry, I forget the name of the color, but it's really pretty. It's this like light pink, and then it has speckles of like pink and gray and yellow, and it kind of turned the cream base into this really pretty, like warm, almost pink. And you can see it has a really nice halo. It's very soft and it's going to be very warm. So I finished this, and then I had quite a bit of yarn left over, so I'm planning to actually make a little pair of matching fingerless mitts. And then that's going to be a gift for my coworker for Christmas. And then for my other coworker, I'm planning to make the same set, but they're going to be in hot pink. So once I finish the little mitts to go back with this one, I'm going to start working on the hot pink set. But yeah, this is a really great pattern. I love Sari's hat patterns. I love starting the hat top down. It just feels very intuitive to me to get all the tricky bits out of the way at the beginning, and then you can just knit until it's the length you want. You can try it on as you go. But yeah, really pleased with how that turned out. Okay, and my last FO is the cutest one. It's too cute for words, you guys. This is the bird sweater by Knitting for Olive. On my last episode, I accidentally said that it was by Petite Knit. It is a Knitting for Olive pattern. Look at it. It's so little. It turned out so cute. So I think last time I had finished the front panel and I showed you all the little bird intarsia, which I was very excited about. But I have now finished the whole little sweater. It's so teeny. So this comes in sizes 1, 2, 4, and 6, and that's years. This is the size 1. I feel like it looks kind of large still. I mean, it's definitely meant to be a bit oversized. But yeah, so the background color that I held double is Cloudborne Fibers Superwash Merino in the color Graphite Heather. And this is just a yarn that all of this was stash yarn. So it did actually use a little bit over, I had almost an entire skein of this caked up already, and it was 100 grams of fingering weight. And I did use that entire thing plus a little bit more because I was holding it double. The pattern's designed for DK. So I think if you just keep that in mind. If you're going to use fingering held double, it does take a little bit more than one skein. But yeah, it's knit, so the body's knit flat. You start at the bottom on the front and work your way up, do the intarsia, and then you work the back, and then you seam the sides. I can show you. This was my first time having to do that. So, oh, and there you can definitely see my seam. That's not great, but yeah, I mattress stitched the sides. If I'm not pulling on it, it looks fine. Yeah, so mattress stitch the sides, and then you pick up for the neckband and the sleeves, and then you have a little baby bird sweater. So the pattern does come with 2 different charts for the bird. You can either do a blue tit, which is like a blue and yellow bird, or you can do the robin. And the sash colors that I had just lent themselves more to the robin. I mean, this red is not quite right, but it's what I had, so I just went with that. And then you embroider on like the beak and the eye and the little feet. So I'm very thrilled with this. One of my best friends is having her first child in November, and it's a boy, so that's gonna go in the little pile of knits for him. And this was really fun, quick little kids knitting project. And if you have any little ones in your life that you could knit for, I really recommend making one of these. It was a very fun, satisfying project. And look how little it is when it's folded. So cute. All right, so that is it for my FOs this week. Let me pause here and grab my whips and we'll carry on with those. Okay, so I have 4 whips to share with you today, and they are all knitting projects. Actually, one of them is crochet and knitting. We'll get to that. So I'm gonna start with socks, 2 pairs of socks to show you. So I'm participating in Sari Nordland's Summer Sock Knit Along, which is an event that I look forward to every year. This is my 3rd year participating. The basic idea is that you take 3 skeins of yarn and you make 4 pairs of socks, and this happens over 4 months. So this one started in June. We're on the 2nd month now, and at the beginning of each month, Sari releases a new sock pattern, and then at the end, if you complete all 4 pairs, you're entered for prizes, etc. But I just really like participating in this and knitting these challenging designs. And so the July socks are the Minerva socks, and I finished the first one. It's not blocked yet, but here it is. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard to see without it being blocked. Maybe it's easier if I show you the front. So these guys are knitted toe up, which I always think I'm not gonna like, and then I do. So maybe I need to reconsider my sock knitting preferences. I mean, at the end of the day, if I'm just like casting on a pair of basic socks, they're gonna be cuffed down, but I do always enjoy these toe up designs more than I think I'm going to. So you start toe up, and then the front has this really cute little tulip design. So you can see the tulip there, the little leaves, and then it has these little intertwining cables along the sides. And the heel construction on this is what's really cool about it, and I love this method. So you can see that looks like your standard heel flap and gusset, but it's toe up. So the way that this is achieved, without going into too much detail because this is a paid for pattern, is that you knit till here on the foot, and then you start increasing. So you increase with, make ones to here. Then you increase more for your heel, and then you start the slip stitch heel pattern as you're decreasing along here. So there's never any picking up of stitches. It's all just kind of seamless, and it comes back together right here, and then you just carry on with the leg. And it kind of feels like magic, like it feels like it shouldn't work, but it does. And then when you finish it, you're like, oh, it's like a perfect heel. And if you are someone that hates like picking up gusset stitches on a heel flap and gusset heel, you should try this method. I'm sure you could look up a tutorial or buy this pattern just to learn how to do the heel. It's very cool. It is a little bit fiddly when you are in this section where you have like a bunch of stitches on, like for your entire heel. It gets a little bit fiddly, but like I said, if you hate a traditional heel flap and gusset because you have to pick up all those stitches before you start the gusset decreases, maybe something to try, because there's none of that involved here. And it really does look just like a traditional heel flapping gusset, which is really cool. I did knit the leg a little bit shorter on these. So once you get to the leg, you start the tulip repeat on the back of the leg as well. And I ended up with just like one perfect tulip on the back, which I love. I think the leg's meant to be about 5 inches, but I have found with this cowl in the past that I sometimes run out of yarn. Like, so the last pair of socks is usually like striped or color work. And I have found, like last year, for example, it was stripes and I didn't have enough of one of the colors. So I just decided to make these a little bit shorter and save a little bit more of this color of yarn for the final pair. Plus, I really just liked them at this length and how like neat and pretty that was on the back. So yeah, I have four repeats on the front, the one on the back of the leg, and these are just a really pretty cabled sock. The yarn is Backcountry Knitter Twisted Sock, 80% merino, 20% nylon. Dusty Rose is the color. And it is this really pretty soft pink. It's looking a little bit yellow on the screen. And it just has these really nice flecks of gold and burgundy. It's very, very pretty. So I only have one done. Today's July 23rd, so I have a little over a week left. However, I did get a preview. I saw a preview of what the August pattern is going to be, and they look very simple. So that's kind of a blessing, because I feel like in like this second and third pair, I always tend to fall behind, because especially like I'm not used to knitting this complicated of sock patterns recently. So I finished the first one. Haven't started the second one yet. It's probably gonna take me, I'm hoping to have the second one finished before the next time I record, which would put me around the first week of August. But I think 3 weeks will be plenty of time to finish the August pair. The design, it looks very cute. It's basically just a plain stockinette sock, but then has like a really cute ruffle around the top. So we'll see those next month. But yeah, I'm happy to have finished the first one. I always feel with these kind of really involved patterns, the second one goes faster because you have a feel for the construction and the pattern. So I will probably cast that on early this week. The next pair of socks have been my car knitting, my on-the-go project. This is my really cute Lock Knits project bag with strawberries. And the inside has this really cute little green lining. It's nice and like squashy, but it like maintains its shape. So I brought these in from the car because the first one is almost ready for the toe, and I needed to be able to measure the foot and make sure it was long enough. So let me show you. This is the yarn I'm using. Really pretty, like soft, variegated colors. It's Palmer Yarn Co. And it doesn't have a color listed. But yeah, I got this secondhand as well. It's really pretty, like light teal with these colorful specks in it. And I'm knitting the All the Frills socks by Summerlee Knits. This is one of the patterns from her shorty sock set. One of them, either the first sock set or the second, I can't remember. But they're really cute. I'm really into the frills right now. So here's where I'm at. See, it's knitting up really nice. Here's the little frill. And then you knit about 2 inches of 1x1 rib, and then you pretty much start the foot. So just kind of been cruising on the foot. Has a classic heel flapping gusset. And yeah, I need to check in, see how much more I need to knit before I start the toe. But yeah, these have been a really nice on-the-go project. I really have been enjoying just having like that little bag in the car. So whenever we're driving around, get a few rows in. You know, we're in a suburb of Columbus, so I'd say we're about 20 minutes or so from most of the activities that we'd want to be doing and stuff. So, you know, you can get 4 or 5 rows in, maybe more in that time, I don't know. Depends on how bumpy the road is. But yeah, they're coming right along. So that's kind of my background sock project, but just wanted to show you my progress on those. I'm very torn because, well, I decided I'm not gonna do it, but I'll tell you about it in case any of you wanna do it. Summer Lee, who designed that pattern, is doing like a little flash knit along for her basic summer shorties. And the idea is to take like your most crazy variegated skein of sock yarn and like knit a pair of shorties in 2 weeks. And the cast on was Friday. And I was so tempted to just like go into my stash and cast on some crazy socks. But I just kept thinking, Sarah, you already have 2 pairs of socks and you really need to work on your cowl, your summer sock cowl. So I'm good, I'm being good, and I'm not doing it. But if you want to, you should check it out. It looks like a very fun knit along. And speaking of knit alongs, my next whip is a new cast on, and it is my Rhinebeck in Spirit sweater. So I should say I've never been to Rhinebeck. I did live in New York City for 5 years, and I'm very sad that I never went during that time. We used to go to upstate New York at least once a year to like the Woodstock area. But when I lived in New York, I wasn't knitting yet. And you can imagine how I'm now kicking myself for never going to Rhinebeck because I've really wanted to go. I thought about it last year. This year I really wanted to go. But it was not gonna work out with my work schedule, and my family is also planning a trip to a local state park that weekend, Hocking Hills. Is it a state park? I think it is. So I had to accept that I could not go this year. However, Andrea Mowry recently released her Rhinebeck sweater pattern for this year. It is the tessellated pullover. I will put a picture in. Very cute. It's mosaic knitting, which I love. So I was like, yes, I'm gonna make that in solidarity with everyone who is going to Rhinebeck, but I will be wearing mine at Hocking Hills State Park the same weekend while you all are enjoying the festival. So please let me know down below if you're going to Rhinebeck or if you've been, what you thought, if you are like me sitting out this year but wish you were going. I'm sure I will go at some point in the next couple of years, but it just was not in the cards this year. So as soon as the pattern came out, I decided to knit the pullover version. There's also a vest, which is very cute, but I feel like I do really like a vest. I have a couple that I want to knit, but I feel like a solid color vest is a better layering piece for me. I tend to wear them over like a printed dress, so I wasn't sure about the multicolor vest, how I would like style that as much, so I'm making the pullover. I also love the shaping of the pullover. Very cute. Love a cropped sweater. So I went to 614 Knit, my local yarn store, to pick out some yarn. And actually, let me grab something from over here real quick. Trying to show this in the least disruptive way possible to my project. So they had some really nice options for the base yarn. I knew I wanted navy, like immediately. I've been wanting to knit a navy sweater for a while, and Andrea's sample in that really dark teal was like so pretty and striking. So I went with more of a true navy, and I went with the thought that I might use Camper again, which was this Kelborn Woolens base, because I love this yarn. Kelborn Woolens is like, they might be my ride or die. Like every yarn I've ever used from them, I've loved. But they didn't have navy in the store. And I'm trying to, if I'm buying new yarn, I want to try and buy it from my local yarn store. So I'm at least supporting like a small business. So they didn't have navy. So I went with them a little bit more budget friendly option. I'm glad that I did. So I am using Barocco Lannis Light as my main color. It is 100% wool. Yeah, it just says 100% wool. Special blend of South American wools made in Peru. 100 grams is 350 meters, 383 yards. So it is like a real true navy also, which I definitely wanted. So that is my main color. My contrast color, which I really, really like, except it is unraveling. Hold please. I've made a mess of the yarns already. I feel like every project I get really excited about has like 10 million yarns to keep track of. I don't know why I do this to myself. Okay, so my contrast color is the same contrast color changing yarn that I used in my Alpine Bloom. So I am once again using Primrose Yarn Co.'s Homestead Sport Base, and this is the color Hipster. So it is this really pretty like soft pinks and light periwinkles and blues and oranges and yellows. I mean, when I'm just holding it up, it looks similar to this, but these colors in the skein were really bright. And like I said, there was a lot of like bright green and blue. They didn't really end up using as much in the sweater. But this, I will end up using all of these colors. So I have 2 cakes of this. The other one is a little bit more cotton candy. It's like a little bit brighter and lighter. So I'm planning to use this one for the body because the colors are a little bit deeper or dustier, and use the other one for the sleeves where those like a little bit of brighter colors can kind of like be in a smaller circumference. Anyway, I don't know why, I just want to use this one for the body. So that's my contrast color. And then the third color is Surrey Alpaca. So you get a little bit of fluff, and I've actually never worked with Surrey before, so I was very excited about that. And 614 Knit Studio carries Cumulus by Fiberspace. It is 74% baby Surrey alpaca, 26% mulberry silk. And it's only $9, which feels like a pretty good deal. The color here is Raindrop. So it's this really nice, soft, like more denim-y blue. So you can kind of see this is my main color. This is my fluff. And then this is my contrast color. And you can see, like, I don't know how well you can see it, but this like lighter blue is like in here a bit. So that'll pick that up nicely. And yeah, let me show you. I don't have that much to show you. I probably cast on like a week ago. And it's knit bottom up. So you start with the ribbing. And this is a really, really serious chunk of ribbing. So I have finished the ribbing. This is on kind of a small needle. But yes, so I have finished the ribbing. This, again, is a serious chunk of ribbing. So it calls for 3 inches of ribbing. These are really small needles. For me, it was 2.75, and it's well over 300 stitches. Oh, I just kicked the camera. Here we go. Sorry. So yeah, that ribbing is no joke. It took a long time to finish it, and I didn't even knit 3 inches. I decided to only knit 2.5 inches of ribbing because my entire body length is only going to be like 6.5 or 7 inches, and I didn't want like half of that to be ribbing. Like I felt like 2.5 inches was plenty to still give me that really cute, like chunky ribbing look, but not feel like it was like swallowing me up. So that is done. Yay! Actually, I sat down to work the last couple rows of it this morning, and my wood needle snapped in half. I like barely even touched it. It just disintegrated. So that was a good start to the day. And I've just started the color work. So you can see I started with a kind of pink and neutral, and you can see the fluff there, the Surrey alpaca. It's not like a huge contrast, but it is definitely visible. So I think that's going to be really nice, and I'm excited to see how the color change like looks as it goes along. Yeah, and like I said, it is mosaic knitting, which I really love. It has such a good like flow, and it's a really, I think, beginner friendly way to do color work. Like if you are intimidated by stranded color work, you could do mosaic. If you know how to slip a stitch, you could do mosaic knitting. So that is my tessellated pullover. I'm gonna probably work on it more today. Now that I'm into the body, I feel like it's gonna fly. That ribbing, whew, it was tough. So if you're really excited to start this, just know you're gonna have to slog through the ribbing before you get to the fun part. But that kind of motivated me to get through the ribbing like as quickly as I could so that I could get to the fun part. So I'll keep you all posted on that. And my last whip is crochet and knitting, and it's almost it's probably more than halfway done, but I haven't even worked on it yet. Mystery. So I have had my eye on the Ariana cardigan by, oh boy, it just exited my brain, Amy Christoffers, who is the designer of like the pressed flowers designs. This is a crochet cardigan, but it has knitted finishing. So it has all knitted ribbing, which I really, really love that combo. And I'll put a picture in of it so you can see what it'll look like finished. And I had the chance to try a sample of this on at 614 Knit. And I'm really glad that I did because I have been wanting to make this for a while. However, the pattern only comes in 2 sizes, size 1 and size 2. And the largest bust size is 65 inches. And the smallest one, I did not write down, smaller than that. But I really didn't know like what size to choose because I was afraid that the size 1 would be a little small and I was afraid that the size 2 would be really too big on me. So trying on that sample was really helpful. It was size 1 and it just fit like perfectly. I could close it. When it's closed, it's going to be snug, but I will most likely be wearing it open. So I think the size 1 is just right. But what that also told me was that it was going to be way too long for me. So I altered the chart a little bit, and this is a free pattern, so I feel fine talking about it. It gives you the entire layout of how to piece all the squares together. And I basically just, on top of the chart, like drew the line where I knew I wanted to crop it to and adjusted how many of each square that I needed to make. So I bought the yarn for this, and then I gave the whole thing to my mom. And she is the crochet queen. She crochets all the things. She's very fast at it. And she made all of the granny squares for me. Thanks, Mom. She finished them in like 2.5 weeks. It's crazy. And one of those weeks she was just waiting for more yarn. So I will say that there's an error in the pattern. It calls for, the size 1 calls for 3 balls of the main color and then 2 balls each of the contrasting colors, but you actually need 3 balls of the largest contrasting color. So let me show you a square so I can explain. So here's my granny squares. This is all Barocco Lannis also. So that's why I felt okay about using that in my tessellated pullover, because I had already purchased it for this and knew that I was gonna like it. So here's one of the finished squares. The outer color, I'm sorry, I don't have the ball bands anymore, so I could not tell you the specific colors, but the navy is the same navy I'm using in my tessellated pullover, and then there's this like burgundy, and then this is like a light periwinkle. So this outer color that you use twice, if you follow the original pattern, you actually need 3 balls of that. And Barocco Lannis is the recommended yarn for the pattern, so that makes it really easy if you're just gonna use that yarn. I will say it's a bit rustic. It definitely feels like it's gonna be good for this more like outerwear piece. It's a bit heavy. You know, in the tessellated pullover, it's gonna be held with the suri, which is gonna help to soften it quite a bit. But yeah, so here's my squares. I have a whole chunk of them. I mean, this is like a third of them. There's like 36 or something, but she wove in the ends. Mom, you're a saint if you're watching. Thank you. Bless you. I was like willing to make these myself, but it probably would have taken me a year and I would have gotten distracted. So I am really grateful that she was willing to do that for me. So she has made all of the squares for me and passed them back to me. So now I am gonna join them all with crochet. Actually, I have a square that includes the main color. Let me grab that. So this was my mock-up that I made. My main color is this brown. This is, it just has a color number. It's 95116, but it's this really pretty like rich heather brown. has some specks of like red and yellow. It's really nice. And so that's my main color. So this is what squares will ultimately look like when I join them together. And then I just need to knit the bindings and put the buttons on, and then it's done. So I'm really excited to work on that. I feel like it's probably not gonna take, it'll probably take longer than I think it's gonna take, because that's classic, but I don't think it's gonna take too much longer to finish putting that together. Yeah, I'm excited to have that as a little outerwear piece for the fall. And I am appreciative that my mom helped me out with that. I know she wants to make one for herself now too, so I did tell her I would do the knitting on hers if she wants. I know she has like crocheted ribbing before, but if she wants like all the knitted edges, I told her I would do that for her. So we're doing a little tradesy. I have quite a few other whips that I just haven't worked on in a while, so I'm just gonna show those as I go. But these are the things that I've been primarily working on. So I'm gonna pause here really quick, grab my acquisitions, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, so I just have a few acquisitions to share with you today, a couple little things and a couple of yarny purchases. So the first thing is this little tool by Katrinkles that helps you determine the weight of your yarn. So I buy a lot of secondhand yarn and it doesn't always have a ball band on it. So a lot of times I'm guessing at the weight as to whether it's fingering, sport, DK, worsted, you know. I'm like, what are you? So I bought this to help me determine that. So the horizontal bands, I think in theory you can like line the yarn up with that to determine the thickness. You can also wrap it around here, and the amount of wraps per inch will tell you the yarn weight. So that's just a little tool I'm adding to my notions bag to help me figure out what my mystery yarns are so that I better know what projects to use them for. The next little things are some stitch markers that my sister made for me. So I love to have these little tiny stitch markers for all of my sock projects. And these are little opening clasp, really earrings, I think is what they are. But she made these, can you see it? Yeah. She made these for me with these just really cute little gems on them. And they're all different. So these ones and these ones. And I really love them. Just simple, pretty. I don't have a lot of silvers, so these are nice to add in. So those are special. And then yarns. So I placed a yarn order recently from Make and Mend, which is a secondhand art supply store that's based in Boston. But they have an online shop and they had a really good yarn drop recently. So the first thing that I got was 8 skeins of Cascade 220, which is a yarn that I've always hearing people talk about and I have been wanting to try. So I got these 8 skeins. Let's see. This is color number 4002. Does it have a name? It does not. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool, and I feel like it's quite soft. I could definitely wear this next to skin, and it's this really dark, like charcoal heather. I think I paid like $15 for all 8 skeins total. Maybe it was like $20, but still that feels like a pretty good deal for a sweater this quantity of yarn. So I don't have a plan for these yet, but I feel like some fun design in this color will fit really easily into my wardrobe. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And then also from that drop, someone had clearly had a whole stash of Knit Picks palette, which I believe is their like color work yarn, and they had organized it into lots by color. So there was like a bunch of different shades of red and a bunch of different shades of green, and I bought the lot that is a bunch of different shades of blue. So let me just show you one here. So this is Knit Picks palette. It comes in these little cakes. These are 50 grams. This is also 100% Peruvian Highland wool, also quite soft. Fingering weight. This color is chicory, which funny enough, I was just looking for some chicory at the grocery store this morning because Troy wanted to try making like a New Orleans iced coffee, which if you've never had it is very good. But we couldn't find it. So I'm gonna have to order some online. Anyway, yeah, so let me just show you all of the like crazy colors that I got. And they were all in this one lot. And again, I paid like $15 total for all of these. Let's see if I can juggle them all. There's actually 10 balls. So again, I paid $150 per ball. Well, that one escaped, but you can see they're all different shades of blue and like kind of purple. This one here is definitely very like indigo or purple. And that one over there is on the floor now. And I'm not gonna get it. But yeah, so I got all these fun colors. And I kind of want to take all of these and make like a crazy little baby cardigan, like a little Fair Isle. Oh wait, these are not superwash. Never mind. Maybe I'll make like a crazy Fair Isle scarf or something for myself and just mix all of them back to white. I think that would be fun. But again, I really want to try steeking. So if you have any patterns that you would recommend for like a first time steek project, like I'm even open to it being like a small like shawl or something. Like I just want to try it out before I necessarily commit to like a huge garment. Please let me know. Or if you think there's a garment I should just like go for it, let me know in the comments. I'm itching for some Fair Isle, so I need to do that soon. But yeah, that is it as far as acquisitions. So I was just going to talk a little bit about some life stuff. Nothing too crazy to report. Work's good. Life is good. The garden is good. We've started harvesting some peppers. We've had quite a few strawberries, lots and lots of herbs. We've been, actually my friend had her bridal shower a couple weeks ago. I may have already talked about that, but she wanted cucumber sandwiches. So I was tasked with making the cucumber sandwiches, which was fun. But I got to use a ton of the chives from our garden because we like dipped the edges in the chives. It was very fancy finger food. And she actually had her bachelorette party last weekend, which was just here in Columbus. It was a very relaxed bachelorette party, nothing crazy. And we actually went and got spa treatments, which was so, so lovely. So I had my first ever facial, which was very nice and relaxing. They kind of like put your hands in these like warm oven mitts that are very heavy, and you like have them on you and they like wrap you up in a warm blanket and like do all the facial stuff, which it was very relaxing. And then we each also got an hour-long massage, which was so, so nice. And I was talking to my masseuse and she was also a crafter, because I kind of went in and was like, I'm constantly making things with my hands and I'm probably also like slouching. So let's, you know, focus on like back and neck and arms and hands. And it was so rejuvenating. I left feeling like I hadn't had my shoulders back in like a month, you know, like, and she was kind of telling me like, yeah, like she could see and feel where I was keeping the tension from like knitting and all of this, and that like a more regular massage, not always needing to be an hour or whatever, but that it could really be beneficial to my practice, and that she does that for herself as a crafting person. And I just felt like if it's within your means to like treat yourself to that kind of care, it is maybe something to look into. It really made me feel so, so much better. And I just felt like much more relaxed and at ease the next time I picked up my craft again. So yeah, maybe we all just need a little more massage in our lives. I don't know. Also, she did a lot of work with my hands and arms, which was very, very nice as well. So it's something I'm going to consider doing on a more regular basis, even if it's just once a quarter or a handful of times a year. It really did make me feel so much better. So yeah, I'm curious if any of you have like get massages for your crafting, or if you do any like hand exercises. Like I know there's some like stretches and exercises that I do sometimes if I'm starting to get a little bit of hand pain. So curious about what you all's routine and like crafting self-care routine looks like. I feel like with as much knitting as I do now, because it feels like I'm literally never not knitting. Like I'm knitting at home and then we get in the car and I'm knitting in the car, and like yeah, it just feels like I need to be taking care of my hands, because at the end of the day, your hands are your tools, and that's really important. So yeah, that was really nice. Yesterday we went to see Barbie and Oppenheimer. That was a fun experience. I loved Barbie. It was not what I expected, but it was so much better than I expected. It honestly went above and beyond any hopes that I had for it. And the fashion is very fun. It was just delightful. So if you have a chance to get out and see it, I really recommend it. It was very funny. And then, yeah, so then we saw Oppenheimer, which is less fun. It is good, but it is long. It is almost 3 hours long. We saw it fairly late at night, and I was definitely getting a little sleepy towards the end. But it is very good. It is more of a downer than Barbie, I will say that. So, but it was fun to do the double feature. You know, I haven't done anything like that since I was like a teen. And we had a good time. And what a cultural phenomenon it's been. You know, that hot pink, I remember doing a little feature about that hot, like neon pink like in one of my earlier episodes, like 4 or 5 maybe, when I was knitting my hot pink linteau. And it just, I feel like if the Barbie movie had been a flop, that color might have kind of gone away. But I think with it being a resounding success, we're in for a long like tail of that hot neon pink being really, really in, which I love. So I'm excited. And I feel like everyone is gonna go as a Barbie for Halloween this year. So I'm trying to already decide if I wanna get in on that or not. We'll see. Let me know down below what kind of Barbie you would be. Like, I feel like I was obsessed with the like Barbie horses when I was little, so maybe I could be like equestrian Barbie. Like, are you astronaut Barbie? Are you physicist Barbie? Let me know below. Very curious. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you are enjoying your summer or winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, and I hope you're getting lots of craft time. I just realized I did not say my social media at the beginning, so if you'd like to see more of my makes, you can follow me on Instagram at Sarah_Seams or on Ravelry at Sarah Ribble. And I think that's it. I hope I didn't forget anything else. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back in a couple of weeks, and I will see you then. Bye.